Hello, everyone, and welcome to round two of the Portland, Oregon Regional Championship. My name is Kenny Wisdom, and we are going to watch Sam Chen and Rico Connor do battle here in the 1-0 bracket. I happen to know that Sam is playing a Landorus Crobat deck, whereas Rico is playing Virizion Genesect with Manectric. And should be an interesting matchup. I'm not sure the details of either player's list. I haven't seen them in depth. Sam, of course, is a multiple-time Worlds qualifier. He won the Houston Regionals earlier this year and put up a top 8 in the British Columbia Regionals earlier this year. He is qualified for Worlds already. He has over 400 points, I believe. He may be the points leader in North America, but if not, he's comfortably within that top 16. Rico Connor, he is a player from the Northwest area. He's tried to grind into Worlds several times, been pretty close each time. I'm sure he has a lot of top finishes as well. What Rico's more known for are his two sons, Calvin and Corey. Calvin is a senior division player who has won the national championships in the TCG and had a top 4 at the world championships in the TCG, as well as several cities, states, regionals, etc., top 8s and wins. And Corey Connor, his youngest son, is a junior division player who top 8'd worlds in VGC and I'm sure has won a bunch of other events in VGC as well, smaller ones. This whole family basically is just kind of a dynasty of success. Rico, like I said, has put up respectable numbers of his own, and Calvin has been one of the major players in the senior division scene, both in the Northwest and all over the U.S. And Corey, I'm not as well versed in the VGC, but Corey has put up some amazing tournament finishes, and I'm sure he's a big player as well. And we see Sam trying to resolve a Corina. Looks like slow starts for both players. Sam taking a moment to consider his options. I'm renting a house with Sam for this weekend, and I know that leading up to this event, he had been pretty concerned about what he was going to play. Like I said, he already has his world invite, but he is aiming for that top 16 in North America slot, which will get him a free trip to Worlds this year. So, he's definitely breathing some rarefied air, but Sam is a very mindful player and someone who really cares about doing well a lot. So he is, even when he's at over 400 points and locked for World and in a good spot for top 16, he is going to try his hardest. He's going to stress about the event. He's going to make sure that he picks the correct deck. In talking to him at the event today, after he has decided what he's actually going to play, I don't think he's actually happy with his deck. He jokingly said that it was bad multiple times. I'm sure that he doesn't actually think it's bad, but he may be concerned about whether or not it is actually the correct decision. So we'll see how this round treats him. He did manage to win his first round, so getting somewhere at least. Looks like Rico with an enhanced hammer on the strong energy. And there's that Emerald Slash. So Rico's deck is interesting. I haven't actually seen too much of it, but I know he does play, as you can see on your board, Virizion, Genesect, and Manectric. Interesting that he would drop a Manectric here. I guess he just maybe doesn't fear the fighting types on Sam's side of the board. Maybe he thinks that his focus is going to lie more in the Crobats this game, but we see Rico with the turn 2 Emerald Slash just as he intended and powering up that Genesect. And it's possible that he doesn't even use the Manectric this game. He doesn't want to get it knocked out, so he's just going to go ahead and use the Genesect and just kind of play as a Virizion Genesect deck. That's one of the things that I think is maybe a little bit easier for this deck than a lot of the other decks that try and fit a lot of things in is that, Virizion Genesect is already a good deck. Virizion Genesect is and has been one of the best decks for a long time, since it's been printed, essentially. And so, having a few Lightning in there, having a few Manectric in there, maybe he can just kind of avoid that, except that he has some dead cards and play a normal Virizion Genesect matchup. See Sam reloading with a Strong Energy and a Muscle Band. Gonna go ahead and knock out the Virizion, go down to 4 prizes. Rico drops a Deoxys EX on the board. That Deoxys's ability is going to let all of the Genesect attacks do plus 10 more damage. So, has some interesting implications. G-Booster is already doing 200 if Rico happens to play that this turn, so it won't be that won't come into effect too much, but Deoxys is certainly a good card for just getting over that few humps of damage. And we see Rico Skyless for a Muscle Band. Gonna go ahead and play a Professor's Letter, maybe dump some energy into the discard pile. I don't know what Rico's hand is like, so maybe he's just searching him up to try and get him in his hand. See Sam wisely playing the base set energies. I think those are the best looking energies personally. Muscle Band on that Genesect. And there's the knockout, putting the remaining 20 damage on the Lucario. And there's a Zubat from Sam. Looks like a Super Scoop Up. Super Scoop Up is usually used to pick up the bat line to try and put more damage counters on your opponent's side of the board, but I guess Sam just felt it was time to save that Lucario a bit of damage there. Sam plays a Manectric of his own. Both these players have been featured on our stream numerous times. If you go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/onthebubblepokemon, Sam's been in at least a few rounds, and Sam has also commentated a few rounds with me as well when he's been eliminated from the tournament. And Rico's been featured at least once or twice, so dig through the archives there and you'll find a little bit more about these players. Like I said, Sam has qualified for Worlds many a time. He's considered one of the best players in the U.S., if not the world. He comes from New York, just out here because a lot of his friends are out here for this event. And Rico should be on a few matches on the archives as well. Rico really trying to make his first Worlds qualification this year. I know that he made it in 2012, which was the first year Rico had been playing. He made it to the last round of the grinder, or maybe the penultimate round, before falling. And I know since then he's gotten very close to a Worlds invite and barely missed, or very close to grinding and barely missed. So with the ceiling a little bit lower this year, he's looking to make his first splash at the World Championship. We see Sam attacking with that Hawlucha, dealing a quick 80 damage. Looks like Rico is considering dropping an energy, but wants to take a look at his discard pile first. If you guys would like to know how any of your friends or anyone that you want to know their record, please let me know. And I have the pairings in front of me, and I can look it up and tell you the records. In between games or in between rounds, we'll talk about some of the more well-known players' records in this event and anything else you guys want to talk about. So please let me know if you want to see player interviews or deck profiles, who you want to talk to, how long you want to talk to them. Just let me know and we can arrange that for in between rounds. Really want to make this stream have the most coverage possible. I really don't like the downtime, and I don't think many other people do. So let me know and we'll see what we can make happen. Rico considering what to get off of a Skyla. And there's the head ringer. So head ringer is going to be able to slow Sam down a bit. I assume Rico is going to go ahead and attach it. This turn looks like he's considering who to attach it to. Just throwing it on the Landorus. Turns Landorus from one of the most efficient Pokemon EX in the game to just basically a regular Pokemon EX. I mean, 2 energy to do 30 damage and 30 to the bench isn't incredible, but it's still totally fine. And it's just going to set Sam back here, especially as he does not have any energy on the board, so he's not going to be able to get an attack off of that Landorus this turn. It's really going to... Oh. Sam had a slight mental mistake there, drawing before he promoted his active. And there's the Karina. Looks like Sam taking his time, really trying to figure out what the best line of play is going to be here. Sam's definitely on the back foot right here. I mean, Rico's got the Genesect fully set up. Does have some damage on it, but has the Genesect set up and has a Manectric waiting in the wings. And, this game's definitely not over, but Rico does have control right now, so Sam needs to be very careful about what he does and try and find all the outs that he can to be able to get back into this game and hopefully win. Sam carefully looking through his deck. So for those who are unfamiliar with the Crobat types of decks, basically Crobat has an ability that when you evolve into him, you can put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And a Golbat has a similar ability. You can put 2 damage counters. So this deck, along with things like Landorus and Manectric and Lucario, can kind of figure out exactly where to put the damage to be the most efficient. And then you have things like Super Scoop Up, which let you play it all over again. And you basically just get free damage for not attacking, which has proven to be one of the big, more powerful mechanics in Pokemon. We have... if you go back to the days of the SP Pokemon, when I started playing the game, you had Crobat G, which you just put on the bench as a basic, and it did 1 damage counter anywhere. So very similar to this sort of Crobat and Golbat ability. And then you also had a card that for free could return to your hand, so you could do it again. And that was one of the most powerful cards in the format for sure. And now we're seeing cards like Golbat and Crobat, which I'm not sure I would describe as some of the most powerful, but certainly playable competitive cards that have had quite the splash. Hypnotoxic Laser is another one. That one is kind of abusing poison damage, but still playing a card and doing damage for no energy is quite big. And it's proven time and time again that it's just a very powerful thing you can be doing. Another kind of general powerful ability is the Gust of Wind ability, whether it's on Gust of Wind or on Pokemon Catcher, on Lysander, on Luxray GL level X, whatever it has been. Whenever that effect has been legal in the game, it's proven to be at the very least playable and at times completely overpowered. So just one of the many kind of things in Pokemon that define the game. And if you pay attention to the game as a whole, you can kind of see which cards are going to be good and why they're going to be good and how they work together. And there's a Spirit Link on the Manectric. Going to go ahead and Mega Evolve. Genesect with the Plasma Energy activating its red signal ability. Rico going to go ahead and Turbo Bolt. Ooh, but not before max potioning that Genesect and basically undoing everything that Sam has done with his past couple of turns. So incredibly powerful turn by Rico. For multiple reasons. The first of which is that, as you can see, Rico got a knockout, which is important because it puts him down to 2 prizes remaining, which means he just needs a single knockout of a Pokemon EX to win this game. Additionally, he is putting forth his Manectric EX, his Mega Manectric EX, excuse me, which has free retreat, and while weak to Sam's Pokemon, is not really his main attacker. It's not who he cares about the most right here. And additionally, he got to wipe the board of any damage, as well as use Turbo Bolt to reattach the energies to Genesect, meaning that, like I said, basically Sam's past 2 or 3 turns have just been completely undone by Rico's one turn, which is just incredible. Rico has gone from winning this game to dominating it. Sam can still pull out a win, but it's going to be very tough here. Rico has definitely taken control of this game, and now you see he's attaching to a Genesect EX. So he's just getting more attackers built up. He already has the Manectric. He already has the one Genesect now. He's just, if anything goes wrong, he has some protection with that second Genesect. And there's a Colress. I'm going to go ahead and draw him 8 cards. From where I'm standing, I can see Sam's face and his mannerisms. He definitely seems upset. Like I said, he wasn't really feeling this deck today, that it was a poor decision to make. Obviously, just game one. Game one's not even over yet. There's still a lot of Pokemon to play. There's still a lot of rounds to play in the whole tournament, but when you're in a spot like this and this early in a tournament, it's got to hurt. There's an Ultra Ball from Rico. Fetching another. And there is the Turbo Bolt. Gonna go get some more energy. Sam revealing the top card of his deck to be a Golbat, I believe. Now Sam's considering what to do. He knows it's pretty hopeless at this point. Gonna go ahead and attach the strong energy, and looks like he... Oh, thought he should have turned back, but he's just actually asking how many cards are in Rico's hand. You can hear Sam talking through his plays and telling Rico where it all went wrong, and looking through his discard pile. And there's the Professor Sycamore. So you can definitely buy time. You see he hit that switch, which was going to be important for Sam, allowing Lucario to become active. And he also drew a Muscle Band and a Crobat, among other things. And there's a knockout going to 2 prizes. Rico looks pretty confident in sending up that. And there's a Lysander. Yep, so Rico, you can tell by his body language, had it that whole turn. You're going to go ahead and take the knockout, and we're going to move on to game 2. So, a little bit of discussion about that game. Rico got a head start. Sam stumbled a bit in the beginning, and then Rico took his head start to basically a pure dominating position. We saw that Sam actually got a knockout to go into 2 prizes, on that last turn, and looked pretty good. He had his board was not the greatest, but he could live. But at that point, Rico had so much going on. He had a Lysander in his hand. He had the Genesect fully built up, the other Genesect on the board. He just had so much going on that it was going to be very hard for Sam to crawl back into the game. But, in a different world, maybe Rico has 1 or 2 turns where he doesn't get as much stuff going and Sam can capitalize. Pokemon is a very back and forth game. And that game, I wouldn't call it close, but Sam definitely had a chance if Rico's draw steps go a little bit worse. So game 2 should be pretty exciting. And for those of you who haven't played big tournaments, it's really hard when you lose in the early rounds. Losing round 1 or 2 just puts you immediately on a back foot where you go, okay, I need to, to make the top 8, I'm going to need to go 6-1-1, maybe a 6-2, and now I'm 0-1. So now I have one match to lose, maybe. You know what I mean? It's so difficult. If you start out 5-0, you can, okay, well, I'm 5-0. All right, I lost. I'm 5-1 now. Oh, I won my next one. I'm 6-1 now. Let's draw in. But when you lose round 1 or 2 or maybe even 3, it's just so hard when you're just such on the back foot there and you just have to pull it back. That being said, people have done it. I'm sure that there's been people who started 0-2 at tournaments and gone to win the entire thing. Half the people are going to lose round 1 or 2. Half the people are going to lose round 1. Half of them are going to lose round 2. It's something that happens. But as one of the players, when you sit down in a tournament and you say, okay, I think I'm one of the better players here. I think I have a real shot at winning. It can be very difficult to take an early loss. As always, On the Bubble is brought to you by Top Cut Central. Please check out topcutcentral.com for your Pokemon cards, your Pokemon accessories. They have singles, sealed products, sleeves, playmats, things like that. And please visit On the Bubble at twitch.tv/onthebubble, what you're watching right now. If you'd like to follow us, that would be great. More followers really help. Like us on Facebook over at facebook.com/otbpokemon. It's also a big help. And the biggest help is youtube.com/onthebubblepokemon. We've streamed lots of other regionals and states. Those will be on that YouTube channel if you want to go ahead and subscribe there. And it looks like the players are beginning. Sam starting with the Hawlucha. Lucario Landorus fighting on the bench, playing the Fighting Stadium and passing the turn. Both players resolving an N. Mr. Mime, not what Rico wants to start with here, but certainly a fine card, especially in this matchup. It prevents Landorus from doing any damage, and it's fine. I think that Rico correctly read the metagame, and that's why he's playing it. But you can certainly forego it if you don't think your metagame is going to include this deck or a lot of sniping decks in general. Dr. Richard Gao advances to 2-0 here, trying to seal up his Worlds invite.
Yeah, I'm 10 points away.
Currently 10 points away going into this tournament, so any finish that grants him championship points will qualify him for the World Championship. Looks like Sam taking a moment to consider his options. Colors for Sam, gonna net him 5 cards. The player's taking a second to look through. Rico taking a second to look through Sam's discard pile, it seems like. He's taking a look at what he's played, what his outs are, how many cards he has left. It's important to take a look through your opponent's discard pile throughout the game just so you make sure what they played. You know, you don't want to play around a Crushing Hammer if there's already 4 Crushing Hammers in the discard pile. There's a Corkscrew Smash for Sam. And a Juniper from Rico. There's the Manectric. And we saw Manectric, Rico's use of Manectric really help out last game. We saw he played it early, but didn't Mega Evolve it, didn't really do anything with it until he could use it and power up his whole bench and kind of put Sam in a checkmate position where Rico said, you know, because of this one turn, I have all this stuff going on now. Even if you knock out my Manectric, I'm fine. You know, I have used my Manectric to take a prize and set up the rest of my board, and really interesting use. We see that he doesn't have a Genesect here, which I'm sure is going to hurt him. I'm sure, you know, even though the Manectric proved to be good last game, I don't think he wants to really run it out early in front of a fighting Pokemon, so that's unfortunate for Rico. But the game's certainly not over yet. We see Sam Golbat put an extra 2 damage counters on that Virizion. Will be knocked out from Corkscrew Smash this turn via the Fighting Stadium on the board. Sam getting another Lucario built up. Going to go ahead and evolve to Golbat, put 20 damage on the Mr. Mime. He doesn't need to put the damage on the Manectric because the Manectric is already weak to his fighting Pokemon, and the Mr. Mime, while not a huge threat, you know, is annoying for him to deal with and is the only other target he has. And there's the third energy on the Manectric. And an N. Six cards for Rico, 4 cards for Sam. Rico finds a Virizion. Rico's going to go ahead and head ringer the Lucario. Doesn't really have many other options there. The other Lucario on the bench already has a Muscle Band on it, and of course head ringer can only be attached to EX Pokemon. He could have put it on the Landorus, but I think what he wants to prevent is actually that's very interesting. Rico taking the knockout there. He needed to put the head ringer there to be able to take the knockout. There's a Hawlucha And there's the evolution into Crobat. It's like Sam taking a minute to ponder the math. There's decks like this, decks like the the Dusknoir decks of old, where you're kind of manipulating damage, you're moving things around. You really need to think about sometimes because there are definitely correct decisions to make. There are decisions that are strictly better than other ones, and it's just very important to be able to manage your math and really know what you're doing because, in a deck like this, the difference between a whole game can be where you put the 2 from your Golbat or the 3 from your Crobat. It's just... it matters more than you might think. There's the knockout for Sam, drawing a card of the Corkscrew Jab and then... or Corkscrew Smash, mind you, and then taking 2 prizes, and Rico is in a tough spot here, playing a Max Potion to heal that Virizion. There's an Ultra Ball. Playing an energy on the Virizion and going for the Juniper. Rico not in a very good spot here. He's going to want to try an Emerald Slash next turn, as he's already attached to the Virizion this turn. But even if he does that, he's dealing 50 and then powering up that Genesect, and by then it might be too late. Sam only has 2 prizes left. We'll be taking a prize this turn off of the Mr. Mime, and then just has to find a way to knock out that Virizion, and it's gonna be tough. We're seeing quite a stumble over the first few turns from Rico, not finding a Genesect, and Sam, got basically what his deck wants to do. He's now ending himself down to 2, which is fine. The only thing, Sam at this point is just looking to. He's not even making. He doesn't need to make sure that he wins the game. Based on what's on the board, he's already winning the game. What he needs to make sure is that Rico loses the game. Playing that N is going to put Rico back down to 4 cards and make sure that he can't, put Rico at the lowest chance possible to be able to draw out of this somehow. Obviously, Sam, going into 2 cards isn't great, but if he gets to attack with Lucario again, which he most likely will, he'll be drawing a whole bunch more cards. Down to 1 prize, and it's just Sam just dominating this game. Looks like that was an enhanced hammer on the strong energy. And I'm going to go ahead and deal 50 damage. Putting 2 grass energy on that Genesect. And that is the game. For those who didn't quite know what was happening there, Sam could replay his bats and then attach an energy to the somersault kick with the Lucario, powered up by the Fighting Stadium, and take his last prize. So we are moving on to a Game 3. Both players shuffling up, trying to be quick. There's not, they're always fighting the clock right now. They're not taking up too much time, but they definitely want to make sure they get the whole 3 games in. Most players in the event are still playing at this point. Looking through the pairings here, we have Paul Johnston, who I believe is still searching for his World's Invite, one of the best players in the Northwest, sitting at 1-0. We have, as you see here, Rico and Sam both sitting at 1-0. Simon Nero, 2013 World Championship Masters Division runner-up, sitting at 1-0. We have Serena Radu, Arizona Regional Top 8 competitor, sitting at 1-0 as well. Tyler Namora sitting at 1-0. So yeah, most of the top players here have won their first round, which is not to be just pretty expected. Let's see. David Cohen, 2011 World Champion David Cohen has fallen in the first round. Not sure where he's at in this round. There's the head ringer on the Landorus. And Rico looks like to be off to a pretty good start this game. He's got the Virizion, he's got the Genesect, he's going to be able to attach the Grass Energy turn 1. He head ringered the Landorus EX. There will be no funny business by Sam. And going first is a pretty big advantage, I think, when playing Virizion Genesect. It really is at any time, regardless of the deck you're playing, but especially when playing Virizion Genesect, so much of your power relies on being able to Emerald Slash on turn 2. So I think, as we saw in both Game 1 and 2, I think that it's going to take a lot. These first few turns, these first kind of setting up turns are going to be what really determines the rest of the game. If Sam stumbles, if Rico stumbles, it seems like, based on the last 2 games, whoever comes out of the gate the quickest is going to be able to take a lead and maintain it throughout the game. And there's a Zubat and a Halucha from Sam's side. Sam did attach the Strong Energy, but will not be able to attack this turn due to the head ringer. Drops a Lucario and just ships the turn back to Rico. Energy on the Virizion. Have to believe Skylar's going to get a switch card here, whether it be a switch or an escape rope. Not sure which one Rico's playing, but he really wants to be able to get off that turn 2 Emerald Slash. And it is indeed an escape rope. Escape rope pretty irrelevant for Sam. Actually, I guess it's not irrelevant for Sam. It's irrelevant for Rico. Sam can retreat, or Sam can escape rope into the Halucha, which has free retreat. If he would like, looks like he's considering it. And as we said, this is the pretty much ideal turn 2 for the Virizion Genesect deck. Just attaching to the Virizion, Emerald Slashing. And there's a Fighting Stadium. And Sam's going to go ahead and play that. Do 70 and 30. Once again, the head ringer putting Sam in an awkward spot here, but luckily he has the Strong Energy. Versus Seekering for a Skyla. He's Rico. So there's multiple things that Rico can try and do this turn. He can, with his Skyla, He can take a supporter if he just wants to wait on it, but most likely, or he can also take a item card. He can take a muscle band, or he can even take an enhanced hammer or a crushing hammer, or if he wants to try and slow Sam down even more, although that's probably not where he wants to be at the moment. One thing he can also do is just take a muscle band to attach to the Genesect, retreat, deal 100, and then also knock out that Halucha, taking a prize off of it. Not the... I don't think it's exactly where Rico wants to be. One prize, playing a one prize game isn't a huge deal, and it looks like Rico might actually be stumbling on energy. Yep, he has the energy. He'll stick the enhanced hammer there. Enhanced hammer's with a strong energy, so just setting Sam back again. Sam can go ahead and attach to the Landorus and be able to hammerhead this turn anyway, but it is just using his resources, depleting Sam's resources rather. And he's able to take the knockout off of the red signal on the Halucha and put an additional energy on the Genesect. Looks like Sam carefully keeping his hands on his cards, kind of the way to say, hold on, I still can take this back, I'm still thinking about it. When he just passes the turn back. No energy on that Landorus. And there's a Juniper. What Rico is looking for here are more Pokemon to attack with, i.e. Genesect, maybe Manectrics. He is ahead on board, but he has a pretty fragile board state. Both of his Pokemon have damage on them. And it looks like he's found an out to some sort of Pokemon. He's playing an Ultra Ball, still considering what to discard here. Taking a look at what his hand would look like without those two cards, or just taking a look at the cards he actually definitely needs to keep. One of the strategies that I learned through playing Pokemon, watching Ross Cawthon play, was he would often play an Ultra Ball, and then he would take cards out of his hand to the cards, which are the cards he was going to discard, or he played Junk Arm, I guess, for an older take on it, and look through and kind of see what his hand looked like without those cards. What Rico did here, it looked like, is he just put the cards that he definitely wanted to keep. So he saw that he had 4 cards in his hand that he can get rid of and 2 that he could not get rid of, and just kind of wanted to eliminate those options from his mind by putting them in a different space entirely. And there's an energy switch on that second Genesect. Going to kind of spread around the resources. You see now Rico has 1 Genesect fully built up, 1 with 2 energy and no damage on it. And he's going to go ahead, deal 50, and put some more energy on the board. Sam takes a draw. It was a Professor Sycamore, I believe, switching into the Zubat. And there's a Sycamore. And there's the Golbat. Sam considering where to put the 20. Let's see. This is all dependent on what Sam plans to do this turn. He can put it on the active Virizion. Decides to bench Genesect. Bring that guy up to 50. If Sam can get a Hammerhead off this turn, it will not affect the benched Pokemon on Rico's, and he can't, he just passes. Not affect the benched Pokemon on Rico's side of the board because of the Mr. Mime sitting on Rico's bench. Looks like Rico's considering to attach a tool or an energy, perhaps? If Rico can get a muscle band on the Genesect, which he has done, and then a Deoxys, he could take a